My name is Harper. I'm 27, living alone in Portland, Oregon, and last week, I witnessed the most horrifying moment of my life through a computer screen. Not an accident, not a natural disaster, but my sister Savannah's wedding exploding before my eyes, in HD so clear you could see every single tear. And yes, it went viral across town, shared all over TikTok, Reddit, Twitter. There was even a full analysis thread on our /wedding drama. But for me, it wasn't just drama to laugh at. It was the moment my family shattered, literally, and the one who hurt the most was my sister. The perfect one. The strong one. Until she had nothing left to hold on to. It all started like a dream wedding. Guests in fancy suits, a classical band playing love songs, champagne overflowing in crystal flutes. I sat alone in my tiny Portland apartment, wearing the navy dress I was supposed to wear at the wedding, holding a glass of wine, drowning in mixed emotions. I wasn't there because of a huge argument right before the big day. But somehow, my parents, in their infinite logic, still sent me the live stream link, like a 15-inch screen could ever replace actually being there. I clicked the link. The screen loaded. There was no warning that I was about to witness one of the most disastrous public meltdowns in modern wedding history. As the image sharpened and the audio came in clear, I thought, maybe I was wrong. Maybe everything will be okay. But I was wrong. Dead wrong. And then, less than an hour later, I watched my sister, in her pristine white gown, throw her wedding ring at her brand new husband, dump a bottle of champagne on his head, while both fathers lunged at each other. The wedding cake toppled like a domino tower and the live stream froze right as my sister broke down in tears. I sat there stunned. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't believe it. And then I understood this wasn't a glitch. It wasn't a tech failure. This was fate, live streamed just for me. The only one who saw the truth from afar, unblurred by the dress, the flowers, or the fake smiles. You think you've seen wedding disasters online? Trust me. You haven't seen anything like this. If you've ever witnessed a wedding fall apart in front of you, or even through a screen like I did, drop your story in the comments. And hold on, this is just the beginning. Trust me, things only get wilder from here. Savannah, my sister, has always been the family's golden girl. The symbol of success, of perfection. She's the kind of person whose name always comes with a compliment. Smart like Savannah. And me? I'm Harper, the other one. Growing up, every comparison tipped in her favor. When I got AB+ in biology, Savannah got a perfect score. When I made the school talent team, she was captain of the cheer squad. She was prom queen. I wore goth clothes to protest against popularity culture. I know she never meant to make me feel like I was falling short, but her perfection always made me feel like I was chasing a shadow I could never catch. Our shared bedroom had an invisible line. Her side was award shelves, AP textbooks, and perfectly arranged jewelry boxes straight out of a catalog. Mine was half-finished paintings, an old camera, indie band posters, and chaotic flashing LED lights. Even our family Christmas photo that year, they photoshopped me just to match her sister aesthetic. But you know what hurts the most? We weren't enemies. Far from it. There were nights in our teens when we stayed up talking till 2 a.m. about crushes, dreams, and how we'd escape this town. She taught me how to apply eyeliner without poking my eye out. I helped her write the essay that got her into UT Austin. In those moments, I saw the real Savannah, sweet, scared, uncertain, and I knew she needed me. But those moments were fleeting, like pit stops in a marathon of pressure and comparison. After college, the distance between us wasn't just emotional, it was literal. I moved to Portland, working at a small marketing firm, living a messy, freelance, free-spirited life. Savannah moved back home, taught at our old elementary school, and fell in love with Ryan Whitmore, heir to an entire car dealership empire in Tennessee. When Savannah announced her engagement to Ryan, my entire family acted like they hit the jackpot. Savannah landed a rich guy, they said. His mom runs the biggest charity gala in the region, they said. And me? I just watched the family group chat explode with messages about wedding dresses, guest lists, catering menus, floral designs, invitation fonts. Like they were scripting a Hollywood movie, and Harper didn't make the cast. But the thing that stung the most wasn't being left out as maid of honor. It was that handwritten line on the wedding invitation. Hope you'll come. I've left a bridesmaid dress for you. But Jessica is the maid of honor, of course. Of course, I'm her sister. Jessica was just her college roommate. That was the moment I knew. This wedding wasn't hers. It was a stage. And she was just the leading lady in a script someone else wrote. / on Savannah's wedding day, I woke up earlier than usual. Even though I was in a different time zone and had no real reason to rush. I'd been tossing and turning all night. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was hope that this wedding would be okay. That my sister would be happy. Even if I didn't trust picture-perfect Ryan, I still prayed I was wrong. I took a longer than usual hot shower, then chose the navy dress, the one I would have worn if I had flown back to Tennessee. I did my makeup carefully, curled my hair softly, spritzed on a bit of lavender perfume. Like I was telling myself, all right, Harper, the least you can do is watch this with some respect. My tiny apartment in Portland's Alberta Arts District turned into a mini wedding reception. I strung up gold fairy lights on the bookshelf, lit vanilla candles, prepared a cheese platter, chocolate-dipped strawberries, and a bottle of Veuve Clicquot I'd been saving since last year. I hadn't meant to open it alone, but that day, maybe it was special enough. The laptop was already set up on the coffee table. Bluetooth speakers synced. Exactly 30 minutes before the ceremony, I clicked the link Dad had sent. A black screen. White text scrolling across. Live stream will begin shortly. Please wait. I waited. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Sipped more champagne. Almost texted my cousin Heather. And then suddenly, the screen lit up. The first shot was the golf course at Eastfield Country Club. Clear skies, gentle sun. Pastel roses lining the aisle. Rows of white chairs with blush pink ribbons. Perfectly arranged. The camera panned around. I recognized a few familiar faces. Aunt Loretta from Arizona. Uncle Philip. The one who tells ghost stories every Christmas. But what stopped me were the eyes. The eyes of the people on the bride's side, my family, were completely different from those on the other side. Ours smiled tightly, lips pressed, avoiding eye contact. Theirs raised glasses, posed for the camera. No one had to tell me. The divide was obvious. And Savannah stood right in the middle. The camera cut to the bridal suite. Savannah sat before the mirror, in a white robe embroidered with Mrs. Whitmore on the back. Her hair was perfectly styled, the veil being pinned in place. She looked breathtaking, like a bridal model straight out of a luxury ad. But I knew those eyes. My sister's eyes, holding back tears. Jessica, the maid of honor, stood beside her, nervously checking her phone again and again. Savannah turned to her and whispered, "Is something wrong?" Jessica flinched. "No, just checking the time. Everything's on schedule." The camera switched angles, but I'd already seen what I feared most, that fake smile on Savannah's face. Not the kind you give to guess. The kind that says, "I'm barely holding it together, but no one can know." And in my mind, just one thought repeated. Damn it, I should have been there. The next image on the live stream was the groom's dressing room, the groom's lounge. Sounds fancy, but in reality, it was just a room filled with hard liquor and oversized egos. Ryan, the groom of the day, and soon-to-be star of an emotional catastrophe, was laughing it up with his buddies like he'd just won a golf tournament, not about to get married. He downed a glass of whiskey while his best man, some guy named Carter, slapped his back and made a joke the mic didn't quite pick up, but I saw Ryan laugh so hard he threw his head back. Then, the door creaked open for a moment. In walked a sharply styled older woman with meticulously curled blonde hair, Mrs. Patricia Whitmore, Ryan's mother. Her expression? Ice cold. Designer blazer. Eyes like laser beams scanning the room, and everyone in it. She wasn't there to offer blessings. She was there to take control. I couldn't hear what she said through the camera feed, but her body language screamed louder than any words, pointing constantly at her wristwatch, gesturing sharply at the wedding planner, who nodded so hard I thought her neck might snap. I didn't need to hear to know. She was pushing everything to stay on schedule, on script, like a diplomatic ceremony, not a wedding. The camera shifted back to the garden. Guests were beginning to take their seats. Everyone was dressed like they were attending a charity gala instead of a family wedding. The lens panned to the front row, where my parents sat. My mom, as usual, not a hair out of place, tears preloaded into her mascara. My dad, tugging at his collar like it was choking him. Beside them sat Ryan's parents, rigid as wax statues, faces blank. Then the music changed. The piano started, canon in D. The first people to walk out were the bridesmaids and groomsmen. Jessica walked alone, clutching an oversized bouquet, her eyes darting toward the venue doors. I squinted. Something felt off. Then the wedding march began. Everyone stood, and Savannah appeared. She walked out on my father's arm. Her gown looked like it stepped straight out of a Disney movie. White lace, a train so long it took 2 flower girls to carry it. But what took my breath away wasn't the dress. It was her eyes. That wasn't the look of a bride about to enter a joyful new chapter. It was the look of someone bracing for battle. And all around her, people sat watching like it was a staged performance. I pulled out my phone and texted Heather one simple line. "Is she okay?" Heather replied with just 3 words. Drama behind scenes. Call later. I tried to relax. Told myself, maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe it's just pre-wedding stress. But then the live stream continued, and whatever illusion I had of a peaceful wedding started crumbling piece by piece. The camera followed Savannah and Ryan as they stood before the altar, hand in hand, like a perfect Pinterest couple. But if you looked closer, you'd see, my sister's smile didn't reach her eyes. And Ryan? He kept glancing down at the rows of guests, stealing looks at his mother, checking his watch, adjusting his cufflinks, like he was waiting for a job interview, not about to say his wedding vows. One tiny detail caught my eye, unforgettable. Jessica, the maid of honor, whispering to another bridesmaid, eyes wide, phone still in hand. Something was happening, something big, but they couldn't intervene, or maybe they were waiting for the right moment. Then, the camera unexpectedly picked up background audio. It should have just been soft piano music, but instead, I heard tense whispers between the parents. Patricia, Ryan's mother, leaned in toward her husband, said something that made him frown and clench his jaw. My dad, sitting right next to them, turned his face away, clearly trying to hold back his irritation. My mom, of course, was dabbing at her tears with a tissue. But not from emotion, from frustration. She was crying angry tears. I swear, if this were a Netflix drama, this was the tension-filled scene right before everything blows up. And I was the only viewer who could see it all for what it was. Because everyone physically present was too busy pretending to notice what was really happening. The camera wobbled, changed angles. It caught a split-second shot of Ryan exhaling hard, like he was counting the seconds till the ceremony ended. Savannah tilted her head to look up at him, eyes full of hope. He didn't look back. My chest tightened. I knew that look. It was the look of someone silently asking, am I forcing myself to believe in something that's already broken? And then, Jessica's phone buzzed. The camera didn't fully capture her screen, but I saw her glance down, and her face instantly drained of color. Her hand clenched, her lips pressed tight. She stepped back as if she wanted to disappear. She turned to the wedding planner, whispered something. The planner immediately looked toward Patricia. No detectiva. But at that moment, I knew one thing for sure. Something was very wrong. And this time, I couldn't hit pause to avoid watching it unfold. Backslash, backslash, the music softened. The officiant smiled. Savannah and Ryan held hands, facing each other, like any couple about to exchange their vows. And I, sitting 1,200 miles away, was holding my breath. I was hoping to hear words of love, tearful I do's, that one heartfelt moment everyone waits for. But the live stream lagged. Not just a little glitch. It froze. Screen blacked out. Loading while spinning. Then, just one final sentence from the officiant rang out as the picture returned. I now pronounce you husband and wife. I blinked. Wait, what? Where were the vows? Did Savannah even say anything? Or was it all lost to a technical hiccup? The camera resumed just in time to catch Ryan kissing Savannah. A kiss that lasted too long, too performed. It made my skin crawl. Then they turned, hand in hand, smiling as they walked past rows of applauding guests. And I couldn't tell if I was watching a newlywed couple or a stage scene meant to cover something deeply rotting underneath. The camera panned to the audience. Some clapped sincerely, some forced it, some clearly followed the unspoken cue. Now clap. The divide was stark. My family on the left, silent, avoiding eye contact. Ryan's family on the right, smiling, shaking hands like they'd just closed a multi-million-dollar deal. Neither side looked at the other. Meanwhile, Savannah walked forward, that perfect smile on her face. But I knew that wasn't the smile of happiness. It was the smile of survival, on a stage built from expectation, reputation, and control. I texted Heather again. Missed the vows. Any drama? She replied almost instantly. OMG. So much. Ryan's mom tried to change the ceremony last minute. Bailey's barely holding it together. Rumors about Ryan. I'll call you later. Rumors? Ryan? My mind started connecting the dots. The darting glances. Jessica's panic. Patricia's obsession with control. Ryan's detachment. Savannah acting. This entire wedding, with its fresh florals, violin quartet, and imported Italian lace, felt more like a tightly directed performance than a real celebration. Everything followed the script, but it lacked one thing: authenticity. As if this wasn't the happiest day of their lives. But a PR campaign for a marriage no one dared to question. And me, the one who'd spent days wondering whether I should have flown back, could only think of one thing now. I just dodged a bomb. But my sister didn't. And it's already starting to explode from the inside. Backslash, backslash, the reception officially began. The live stream cut to a white bridge over a man-made lake, where the professional photography team was organizing everyone like they were about to take a corporate year-end photo. Savannah and Ryan stood in the center, families flanking either side. But if you looked closely, the gap between them felt more like a front line. On Savannah's side, my side, everyone stood stiffly, shoulders hunched like they were trying not to make things worse. On Ryan's side, laughter, posing, fixing ties, backpats all around, like they'd just closed a major deal. Savannah, caught in the middle, stood straight as a statue. Her smile was frozen, her eyes hollow. Closer together, please, the photographer called out. Everyone shifted, slightly. But it still felt like two separate worlds, touching only through Savannah and Ryan, the supposed couple, or more accurately, the diplomatic pawns between rival kingdoms. Then the camera swung to Jessica, maid of honor. She was checking her phone again. Still tense. One of Ryan's groomsmen leaned in, whispered something in her ear. Jessica snapped back, sharply turned away. I sat frozen in front of my screen, breath caught. And then the last thing I wanted happened. Ladies and gentlemen, the DJ's voice rang out. Please make your way to the reception hall. But before dinner is served, Mrs. Patricia Whitmore has a special surprise for the newlyweds. I went cold. Savannah froze in place. Ryan turned toward his mother, face pale as paper. Jessica jerked her head toward the wedding planner, whispering urgently. The planner looked horrified, eyes darting toward the DJ, but it was already too late. Patricia walked on stage, mic in hand, wearing a smile that was sweet but deadly. Marriage is a journey full of surprises, she began, as if addressing a Rotary Club meeting. And speaking of surprises, there's someone very special who wanted to celebrate with Ryan and Savannah today. In my silent apartment, I whispered, "No, don't you dare." Savannah turned to Jessica, eyes wide with panic, then glanced toward the reception hall doors. The DJ hit play. The lights dimmed. A projector screen descended from the ceiling. Music swelled. Bruno Mars, Marry You. Photos began flashing across the screen. Ryan as a toddler, school days, graduation pics, then college memories. And then, like a slap across the face of every guest in that room, and across Savannah's heart, a blonde woman appeared. Savannah's voice dropped, cold as glass. "You're his past. And he has no future." Jessica, standing closest in the camera's edge, reached for Savannah's hand, whispered something. Savannah nodded. And I knew that look. That was no longer heartbreak. That was resolve. Savannah turned to Chelsea. "You can wear the red dress. You can keep the winter's name. But I have the truth." Then she looked at Ryan. "And you had everything I loved. And you just lost it. Forever." The room froze in a chilling silence. Then, Patricia broke it. "Enough of this melodrama. Ryan, we're leaving. Chelsea, come with us." Ryan stepped toward Chelsea. Savannah didn't stop him. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply watched, like she was sending off a walking corpse. "Take your lies. Take your mother. Take your mistress. And get out of my life." Then, my sister turned, back straight, head high, and she walked away from the dance floor, leaving behind everything that once was called a wedding. Ryan stood frozen, eyes unfocused, hands trembling, face drenched in sweat, while Chelsea gently slipped her arm into his, as if they had been the perfect couple all along. But just as he turned to walk out of the wedding with her, Ryan's grandfather, seated in the front row, pointed a shaking finger at Savannah and roared, "She is not leaving with the Whitmore ring." And that was when everything shattered. Ryan's father, Mr. Gerald Whitmore, jumped to his feet. "That ring is a family heirloom. It doesn't belong to her." My father, Raymond, didn't even hesitate. "Don't you dare lay a finger on my daughter. You've humiliated her enough." I sat paralyzed at my screen, blurting out in disbelief, "Please don't let this turn into a fist fight." But it was already too late. Two men, both over 60, charged at each other like bulls in mating season. My dad shoved Gerald. Gerald shoved back. And in the scuffle, both men crashed right into the 8-tier wedding cake, a masterpiece of white icing and sugar roses as tall as a castle. The impact echoed through the hall with a deafening thud. The cake tilted, then collapsed entirely, crashing to the floor in a heap of frosting, flowers, and destroyed symbolism, like the final wreckage of a marriage that never had a chance. The room fell into stunned silence. The livestream camera, still rolling, zoomed slowly in on Savannah's face, her wedding dress now splattered with cake. But she didn't wipe it off. She didn't cry. She didn't run. She smiled. A real smile. One of freedom. Then Savannah reached for a bottle of champagne from the table, popped the cork, and poured it over Ryan's head just as he turned back to talk. "For every lie you told me. For every promise you never meant to keep. For the years I spent believing in you." Ryan shrieked. "Are you insane? This suit cost $5,000. Savannah smirked. "Good. Let me drown it, along with your dignity." Jessica, standing beside her, whispered something. Savannah nodded. She stepped onto the DJ's platform, picked up the mic, and with a voice strong as a TEDx speaker, declared, // Savannah stood there, wedding dress stained with frosting, microphone in hand, eyes ablaze like she had just torched every mold that had ever tried to contain her. And then, in a twist that felt ripped straight from real life, the live stream glitched. Hard. Then froze. No fade out. No thank you for watching. No transition. Just a frozen frame, locked on the exact moment Savannah turned to stare straight into the camera, straight at me. She didn't say a word, but her eyes spoke louder than anything else. You were right, Harper. And I wish you were here. I couldn't blink. I couldn't breathe. That single moment, her gaze cutting through hundreds of miles, hit me like a stake through the chest. I frantically refreshed.
Close the tab.
Reopened the link. Switched browsers. Tried my phone. Nothing. The live stream was dead. And I was left suspended in that one image, like the entire world was hanging off the expression of the sister I loved. 30 minutes later, I saw the first tweet. At Weddings of the South, y'all. Eastfield Country Club wedding just imploded. Ring thrown.
Cake down.
Mistress in red dress. 10 drama. Over 5,000 shares in 1 hour.
Hedge erupted.
A thread on r/wedding shaming shot to top 3 trending. Bride pours champagne on cheating groom after surprise slideshow. Best man speech was nothing compared to this chaos. Instagram was flooded with stories ripped from the live stream, frame by frame. Chelsea entering. The cake collapsing. Savannah becoming a legend. TikTok had already spawned a full video series, minute-by-minute breakdown of the Whitmore wedding disaster, soundtracked by Sam Smith's Unholy. I kept scrolling, and scrolling, still unable to believe what I had just witnessed, from a laptop screen in a tiny Portland apartment. The worst part, I couldn't reach anyone. I called mom, voicemail. Dad, no answer. Heather, currently unavailable. Family group chat, left undelivered. My mind began spinning the worst-case scenarios. Someone fainted. Someone got arrested. Cops were called. Chelsea was kicked out. Patricia filed legal action on the spot. I felt like the lead character who got written out of the final season of a show they'd followed all their life. Until 1:43 a.m. My phone buzzed. Heather was calling. She didn't say hello. She didn't say it's okay. Just a breathless gasp. Harper, oh my god, it's worse than what the live stream showed. / Harper, Heather said, her breath ragged. It's worse than anything you saw. I bolted upright on the couch, fingers clenching the phone like it was the last cable keeping me from falling off a cliff. Where's Bailey? I mean, Savannah? Is she okay? Heather exhaled. She's at your parents' house. Safe. But after the live stream cut out, everything literally fell apart. The room inside me went dead quiet. My eyes were locked on my phone screen, but my mind was rewinding the entire wedding like a film played in reverse. Heather continued, her voice still trembling. After Savannah poured the champagne on Ryan and gave that speech, Patricia screamed for security. They tried to throw Savannah out of her own wedding. I said nothing. Just listened to my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Jessica stood in front of Savannah like a bodyguard, and your mom ran up and pulled Savannah toward her. But Ryan's brother, Chad, shouted that they needed to get the ring back. He said it was a family asset and that they couldn't let some low-income schoolteacher run off with a Whitmore heirloom. I hissed through clenched teeth. They called my sister what? Heather answered softly. A liability with lipstick. I was stunned. And then, Heather swallowed. Your dad jumped in, shoved Chad aside and yelled, "You're not laying a hand on my daughter." Chad lost it. Tried to swing at him. Security rushed in. Someone screamed assault. Someone else shouted for a lawyer. Guests started leaving in droves. The photographer locked himself in the bathroom. The DJ left his laptop and walked off the stage. I clutched a pillow tight. Was anyone arrested?
No.
But police showed up. Filed a report. Both sides are threatening lawsuits. Your mom and Patricia nearly came to blows because Patricia insisted Savannah should leave quietly to preserve the family's dignity. I laughed bitterly. Dignity? After bringing the groom's side piece to the wedding. Heather didn't laugh. You need to know this, Harper. Chelsea didn't just show up. Patricia flew her in on a private jet, scheduled to arrive just in time for the slideshow. They planned this for a whole week. Savannah was the last to find out. It felt like a ghost hand had wrapped around my chest, squeezing tighter with every word. Does she know about the prenup? Heather paused. She found out, but only the day before the wedding. And Ryan promised he'd rip it up after the ceremony. I closed my eyes. He never planned to rip it up. That wasn't a wedding. It was a setup. The whole thing was a trap. / the next morning, as sunlight streamed through the curtains, I was still lying on the sofa, sleep-deprived, eyes swollen from staying up all night. I still couldn't believe that everything I had warned about, everything I had suspected, had actually happened, in the most brutal way possible. And my sister was the one who paid the full price. My phone rang at 8:07 a.m. The screen read, "Savannah calling." I nearly dropped the phone. My throat closed up. I wasn't ready.
I didn't know what to say.
I just hit accept. And on the other end was silence. Not tense silence, but the kind between two people too exhausted to pretend. Then she spoke, quiet, hoarse, raw. You were right not to come. And I wish I had listened to you sooner. I broke down.
I'm sorry.
I should have been there, should have pulled you out of it. She cut me off, her voice cracking. Harper, even if you were there, you would have just stood there like everyone else, watching me self-destruct, and not able to stop it. I dropped my head into my hands. I watched everything, until the screen froze when you looked into the camera. I swear you saw me. She paused, then said softly, I did, and I was glad you were watching. Glad at least one person knew this was real, that I wasn't overreacting, that I wasn't making it up. You were my witness, Harper, to the day my life finally shattered. I took a deep breath. They're spreading stuff. I saw Reddit, Twitter, they're saying I snapped, that I ruined my wedding out of stress, that I attacked guests because I went mad with jealousy. Ryan messaged me, asking me to stay quiet, to calm the media. Patricia wants me to sign an NDA and return all the wedding gifts. I shot up from the couch like I'd been electrocuted. Don't sign anything. I saved the live stream. I have the whole thing backed up. I've got proof they staged everything. On the other end, her voice broke. I didn't know you saved it. Harper, thank you. For the first time in my life, I feel like someone's standing by me. Not because I'm perfect, but because I need them. We went silent. But it was the kind of silence that says everything.
No masks.
No roles. Just two sisters finally, after all these years, on the same side. // I booked a flight to Tennessee within 10 minutes of hanging up with Savannah. No thinking.
No checklist. No backup clothes.
I only knew one thing. This time, I wasn't staying on the sidelines. On the flight, I couldn't sleep. I sat next to a young mother with a crying baby for 3 straight hours, and strangely, I wasn't annoyed. Because inside, I was crying too, just in silent sobs no one could hear. I thought about all the years I avoided Savannah. The times I quietly unfollowed her on Instagram because I couldn't bear the perfect life, photos, brunches with Ryan, the luxury bedroom shots, captions like building dreams together ring. Yes, I was jealous. But now I realize, I was just as lost as she was. The difference? I ran early. She stayed and tried to live out the role. When I stepped out of the airport doors, Savannah was waiting.
No tightres.
No beach blonde curls. No perfume commercial makeup. She wore an old hoodie, sweatpants, hair in a low tie, barefaced. And for the first time in years, I saw my real sister. I ran to her, said nothing, just hugged her tight.
She didn't resist.
Didn't try to hold the image. She just cried. Cried like 10 years of pressure had finally found a release valve. I whispered, I'm here now, and this time, I'm not going anywhere. Our parents' house, the one I used to despise for its jasmine-scented air freshener and judgmental dinner table feedback, now looked like a command center for post-wedding crisis. On the dining table, contracts.
Nee de apirintuts.
Letters from lawyers. My dad whispered on the phone with an old law school friend. My mom was calling relatives, trying to explain before the whole ordeal turned into an episode of the Jerry Springer Show. I stepped in. The room fell silent. Savannah pulled out a chair for me. No words, but her eyes said everything. Sit here. This is the first time I'm not fighting alone. Then our parents sat down too.
No yelling. No blam.
We just sat there, as a family, for the first time, actually facing the truth. Not some airbrushed wedding photo. I opened my laptop, clicked play on the live stream I'd saved. And for the first time, Savannah watched herself, not as a meltdown, not as a bridezilla, not as the villain, but as the victim. And now, as the survivor. / That afternoon, our whole family sat down with a family lawyer, a woman named Dana Thompson, in her early 40s, sharp eyes like surgical scalpels, and a voice that could make even seasoned CEOs adjust their ties. She flipped through every document, the prenuptial agreement, the screenshots of texts between Ryan and Chelsea, which Jessica had secretly collected. Then I opened my laptop. I played the live stream clip I'd saved, the unedited version, the part that got cut from the official feed. The scene where Patricia introduced this special surprise. The moment Chelsea appeared, the instant Savannah was pushed to the edge and rose from it. Dana didn't say a word for 15 minutes, just watched, took notes,
Frowned.
When the clip ended, she put her pen down, crossed her arms. Okay, she said, the Whitmores just shot themselves in the foot. Savannah furrowed her brows. What do you mean? I mean, Dana leaned back, her eyes practically firing lasers. They sent you an NDA, demanded silence, return of wedding gifts, deletion of the video, and asked you not to tarnish the family name? Trust me, if we need to, we'll broadcast this recording on national television. My mother stayed quiet, but a spark of hope glimmered in her eyes. My father let out a slow, relieved breath. And Savannah? She sat taller than ever before.
No shrinking.
No fear. I don't want their money, she said slowly. I don't want fame. I just want them to lose the power to control the story.
Dana nodded, impressed.
Then here's the plan. A formal legal response rejecting every clause in the NDA. A carefully worded, legally bulletproof public statement. One that makes it very clear you were set up. We'll claim full rights to keep all wedding gifts, pursue defamation damages, and if they dare come near you again, we'll send this video to every outlet from BuzzFeed to CNN. Savannah smiled. For the first time in my life, I have a lawyer who's on my side. I looked at her. In her eyes, there was no trace of collapse. Only belief, not in justice, but in herself. And I realized that wedding wasn't Savannah's ending. It was her beginning, / 6 months later, on a late autumn afternoon in Portland, Savannah and I sat together on the balcony of my third-floor apartment, sipping red wine and laughing so hard it hurt, while rewatching photos from the wedding. I'm not kidding, we really looked back, but this time to laugh, not to cry. There was one photo in particular. Savannah standing center frame, the 8-tier wedding cake collapsing behind her, Ryan ducking like a bad action movie extra, and Chelsea on the edge of the shot, screaming, with one side of her dress torn. I had that photo printed, framed, and titled. The exact moment everything got real. Savannah, now no longer the almost Mrs. Whitmore, lives with me in a cozy apartment just a few blocks from Laurelhurst Park. She teaches at a progressive elementary school, where the kids call teachers by their first names, and nobody cares if your wedding went viral for all the wrong reasons. She dyed her hair back to its natural brown, ditched the heavy makeup, traded blazers for hoodies, and, most importantly, she rediscovered her laugh, the kind you don't have to ask permission to let out. We have a Sunday dinner tradition. Sometimes it's rushed spaghetti, sometimes it's takeout pizza, while binge-watching Love is Blind.
There's always wine.
And always a theme, things we thought were forever but were really just temporary with a fancy label. I asked her, do you regret it? Falling in love, getting engaged, trusting the wrong person. Savannah took a sip of wine, then looked out at the sunset. No, because if that day hadn't happened, I would have kept living a life someone else wrote for me. And I never would have known how strong I really am. I nodded. You didn't just survive, Savannah. You came alive. She turned to me, eyes glassy. And you were the only one who believed me, not because I was perfect, but because you could see I was being suffocated. You were there, and I'm more grateful for that than I've ever been able to say. I didn't respond. I just smiled.
And raised my glass.
To starting over, properly this time. She laughed, clinked glasses with me. 6 months ago, I watched her fall apart through a screen. Today, I sat beside her and watched her rebuild herself. No wedding dress, no dynasty name. Just the truth. And a little sister who dared to save the live stream, to protect her, / one Friday evening, I was scrolling through my laptop looking for dance classes when Savannah walked into the kitchen, holding a colorful printed flyer, smiling like a kid who just snuck in extra screen time. Remember that photography class I took when I was 18? She waved the paper in front of me. I blinked. The one mom said was a waste of time because it didn't boost your academic portfolio. That's the one. She placed the paper on the table. A registration form for a local photography class at the Portland Arts Community. First class starts next week. Wanna come with me? I looked at her, not to check if she was joking, but to check if this was really her. Savannah, the girl who once rejected every personal passion just to fit the image of a high society bride. Savannah, who abandoned herself to please Ryan, Patricia, their elite circle, and of course, the impossible standards of our mother. Now stood here, holding a registration form for a class on sunset photography. With film. I hugged her tight. Welcome to the best part of your life. That night, we ordered pizza, laughed until our stomachs hurt, and talked about the small, beautiful things. The new bubble tea shop down the street, an indie movie screening nearby, the vintage camera she was eyeing on Craigslist. And when I asked, have you thought about dating again? She nodded, but there was no rush or longing in her eyes.
Yeah,
but this time, I want someone who'll love the messy parts of me, not the version I edited to fit their mold. And if no one like that comes along? I asked. Savannah smiled softly, eyes calm and brighter than I'd seen in years. Then I'll still be okay, because for the first time in my life, I know being alone isn't a failure. It's freedom. I looked at her, throat tight. My sister, the same woman who once stood in lace and silence at the center of a wedding built on lies, now sat in my tiny kitchen, eating cold pizza, talking about freedom with light in her eyes. And I knew one thing for certain. Savannah's new chapter didn't begin with a ring. It began with a camera, a cup of hot tea, and a photograph she took herself, unfiltered, unedited. Just her. And that was enough. / there's a moment I'll never forget. That moment when Savannah looked straight into the live stream camera, in the middle of a collapsing wedding, champagne-soaked dress, and a voice, trembling yet powerful, echoing like a wake-up call for millions living under someone else's expectations. In that moment, I didn't just see a betrayed bride. I saw a woman breaking the chains of perfection. And I, the younger sister watching from afar, learned the most valuable lesson of all. Sometimes, you don't have to be there to have someone's back. You just have to see the truth and not look away. If you've ever watched a loved one lose themselves trying to please everyone, if you've ever asked yourself, am I living my life, or just performing in someone else's script? If you've ever felt completely alone for daring to rise while the crowd applauded the lie, you are not alone. And this video, this story is for you. Savannah is no longer the runaway bride. She's a symbol of a true beginning, of choosing authenticity over approval, of a woman who stood in the ashes and said, "No, I choose me." And if you've ever thought that one horrible moment might destroy you, remember this. It might just be the spark that leads you back to who you truly are. If something in this story hit home for you, leave a comment below and share your moment of falling apart that turned out to be the best thing that ever happened. Like this video if you believe real matters more than perfect. And don't forget to subscribe for more true stories, raw, emotional, dramatic, and sometimes healing, just like this one.
I'm Harper.
And today, I'm not telling you a wedding story. I'm telling you about a rescue, a journey back to self, and a gentle reminder that sometimes it's the person behind the screen who sees the truth most clearly. See you in the next video. And if today's the day you finally choose you, welcome home. /.